Welcome back. Forbes Africa has released its 30 under 30 list for 2019 in Johannesburg. The 5th annual Forbes Africa 30 under 30 list features 120 young African change makers for the first time. This increases the number from 90 from the previous year, with 30 finalists in each of the 4 categories. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about it is Forbes Africa's Karen Mwendera. She is a Forbes Africa journalist and curator of the 30 under 30 list, and sitting right next to her in front of me is Nthabiseng Mosia, one of the entrepreneurs on the list. Welcome to you both, and thank you so much for joining us. And I'm glad you both look 30 under 30 because, you know, we'd lose a bit of credibility there. So tell us about it, Karen. How do you go about finding these fabulous change makers?
Well, okay, first of all, thank you so much for having us. The first part of the process is obviously we go through a process of research. So we get nominations, and also from there, people can also apply to be part of the list.
So how wide do the nominations go?
As wide as the whole continent. All African countries are applicable to apply. And if you have a business that has been running for over 2 years, then you're already eligible to be on the list. And recently, we've also included the sports category, which looks at sports stars on the African continent. So the process goes from vetting, looking at the individuals, looking at who they are, what their business is about, what their careers are about.
So what's the criteria? I know you mentioned in business, you have to be in business for 2 years already.
Yes.
What are the characteristics that you're looking for?
We look at promising, and we also look at how the business is sustainable. So we also go and vet their finances. So we'll ask them to submit their documents, we ask them to submit their finances, their financial statements of the business. And with that, we've been working with a financial audit partner, S&G Grant Thornton, to really vet and go through and sift through every detail on their finances.
So what would they be looking for there if they got a little bit of extra help? Because I know you're also looking at startups.
Yes.
So what are your auditors looking for?
So they look at the growth margins, so they'll calculate how the business has grown since its inception. And apart from that, we also look at, are you guys making a profit? Because obviously profitability is an important factor when you're looking at a business, to see if this is a business that can be sustainable for the next 5 years, if not 10 and plus more. And then we also look at just the uniqueness of the business. So there have been so many different innovative products. There have been very innovative businesses, and one of them is Nthabiseng, who's with us today, who runs a solar company. So we look at such things. We look at also the impact that they have on the community. So if they're impacting a lot of people on a large scale, do they also have offices operating in different African countries? Those are the type of things that we look at.
So what stood out, and I'm going to talk to Nthabiseng and find out from her, but to your mind, what stood up in terms of her business, the creative aspect of it, and I suppose the greater good, the impact that it's had on the community in and around her?
Yes. Well, she'll obviously speak on her story, but from looking at her story and when she had submitted her documents, the one thing that we saw is that the social impact that it had. Solar energy is one of the new innovative ways, and is an industry that is growing worldwide and globally. So her business operates in different countries, and it is impacting everybody in those different countries. I mean, energy is an important issue that is happening, and not a lot of people have access to energy and electricity in different African countries. So having a business like that just shows that, okay, this is a young person who has the ability to change the world for the better. And apart from just the business aspect, we also look at the individual themselves. What is their story? What makes them
Let's
unique?
let her tell her story.
Exactly.
Nthabiseng, I was just actually looking at how beautiful you looked on the cover of that 30 under 30 publication. So what is your story? How did you get to this point? I mean, you're in the tech category. We didn't mention the various categories. So there's business, sports, creatives, and technology. So how did you get there?
Yeah, so thank you first of all for being here. So I'm the co-founder of Easy Solar. We're a solar company based in Sierra Leone. My journey is a little bit convoluted. So, back in 2007, 2008, when we had rolling blackouts, I was very cognizant for the first time the impact power has in one's life when you don't have it.
South Africans will tell you we learned that very recently.
Yeah, sorry. And then, I think it was a position of privilege when I started working across the continent. I was in Nigeria and Kenya and Malawi. And I realized, across the continent you have, limitations on access, not just reliability. And so my business is based in Sierra Leone, and we've just recently started operating in Liberia, where less than, 10% of the population has access to electricity. So the vast majority, aren't even connected.
So what is the concept? What is the business?
Yeah, so we distribute solar solutions. So anything from solar lanterns to solar home systems and larger like kilowatt systems. And we make it affordable because most people can't really afford, a larger system by offering them on what we call rent-to-own financing schemes. So people can buy a system, take it home, they pay a deposit, and then they pay it off over time. And so that makes clean energy affordable.
What is the average cost? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, so it ranges from we do it in dollars, so $10 to $20 like lanterns to $200 home systems, and then much larger, like over $1,000. But we do it all on financing schemes. To make
and how did you? We're talking 30 under 30, so I'm sure a lot of people looking at you admirably, thinking, how did she manage to do it? Did you get any seed capital, or what kind of support networks did you have to be able to undertake this?
Yeah, I was quite fortunate. I was in graduate school when I started this in the States. And we had, we entered a few business plan competitions. We just entered everything we possibly could, and we took advantage of the network of our school. And so when we won that, we went and we did surveys, and then we did a pilot. And so it was a gradual process. It wasn't an overnight thing where suddenly, we were successful. And then we went for private capital, and we also got some debt funding as well. And now we've reached about 200,000 households in less than 3 years. 200,000 people in less than 3 years in Sierra Leone, and now we're set to expand into Liberia as well.
So just, Karen, looking at the publication itself, I believe that it's also drawn quite a lot of interest. It's one of the highest read publications, especially when you distribute this 30. What is the appeal, do you think? When I was looking at some of the lists, I was actually shocked. Some of these people have been household names for such a long time. People like Sia Kolisi, Kagiso Rabada, Wade Fanikat, Chadley Clerk. We forget that they are that young.
No, I agree. I think particularly the names that you mentioned are in the sports category. So we looked at some of the sports stars in Africa who have made an impact in the sports industry. They're pushing their country's names globally as well. So the criteria of the sports category is that the teams, the participants have to have been playing for a local sports team and represent an African country. So that was one of the things that we looked at.
And the creatives, which industries were you targeting, or did you just go wide?
We tried to go as wide as possible because the creators it's such a vast industry. But within that, we looked at their financial impact that they do in their career, their earnings. Particularly if you look at some of the artists, will look at how much they sell for performances. For example, Burna Boy, Shoma Josie.
I was going to ask you, was she already on your radar before she got her BET award?
She was actually. We had been considering her for a very long time, and then we were in touch with her manager, and getting her on the list was also quite remarkable, and the fact that she just won a BET award at the same time.
So Nthabiseng, I'd imagine that just being on the list is good enough. You don't necessarily have to win anything. But what opportunities do you think this makes you exposed to? How else does it inspire you? And is it just all about altruism, or are you also thinking of a chink money in the bank?
I think first and foremost, it is when you're an entrepreneur and you work so hard, it is really great to get this kind of recognition, and on such a sort of pan-national stage. I think first and foremost, I think when we were at the meetup yesterday, it was just so inspiring just to see how many people are doing amazing things. So I think you can often be in a little bit of a silo, and I think just to have that invigorating energy of like Africans are custodians of their development and the narratives that we have, you know, we're really doing amazing things. And I think this list just fills me with so much hope, because sometimes you can get a little bit jaded. And I think for me personally, you know, working in a part of the continent which is a little bit there's a lot of misconceptions about Sierra Leone and Liberia. There's like, you know, narratives about civil war and Ebola. I hope this can also shed light that
if there was an X-ray machine right now, you could see the jig, the dance I'm doing in my mind. I'm getting really excited. It's a pity that we can't speak to you both for any longer. But thank you so much for coming to join us, and congratulations to you. I hope to chat to you again soon to hear more about what you're doing. That there is entrepreneur Nthabiseng Mosia, and Karen Mwendera is of Forbes Africa journalist. She's a curator of that 30 under 30 list. We'll be back right after the break.